Hi, this is Todd Olthoff from toddolthoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. And this week we're going to take a look at a Homebridge solution called Homebridge out of the box, or HOOBS. Now the HOOBS team was good enough to send me a unit that I could review, so I've been able to put this little device through its paces, and we'll have a series of videos walking you through how to set up and use HOOBS. Now HOOBS is a little device with a simplified Homebridge OS that makes setup much easier for those who may not have a dedicated computer that they want to leave on to run their Homebridge install, or for those who are not as familiar with command line type applications. In the box, you have an installation guide which walks you through the setup process, the HOOBS device itself, which is compact and nicely packaged. You also get the power source to run the device and an Ethernet cable if you plan on connecting it via Ethernet. The device can also be run by Wi-Fi, so how you connect it to your network is up to you. To get up and running with HOOBS, you connect the HOOBS to power and wait 2 to 3 minutes as the device installs the HOOBS OS. You will see a red power light on the front which lets you know that it's powered on and is running. Now once the installation is complete, after the 2 to 3 minute time frame, you can then connect the Ethernet cable to the Ethernet port. A green light indicates that it is connecting and functioning. Now once the hardware has been installed, you go over to a web browser and type in hoobs.local to access the HOOBS interface. As it's a web browser, you can do this in your Mac or iOS device. The username and password is admin and admin both times. And you put those in. You can change those later in the interface. When you're done, you hit enter and you're launched into the HOOBS interface. Now as you can see, we've got the QR code there on the left that we'll use to add HOOBS to our HomeKit install. There's also the number there that we can put in. And you can see there's just a number of things in the interface that we can take a look at. And we will take a look at those later after we've installed HOOBS into HomeKit. So let's go over to my iOS device and do the install of HOOBS into the Home app. So here we are over on my iPhone. I'm going to tap the Home app here to start to add HOOBS. We're going to tap the plus button on the top right, and then we're going to tap Add Accessory. Now I have the option in here to add it manually or to scan the QR code. So let's go ahead and just scan that QR code that I have on the screen here. And you can see it's going to add the accessory. We're going to say add anyway, even though it's unauthorized. And now it's going to add HOOBS to HomeKit. And so you can see it's added it now. And when we go to the next screen, I have the option of choosing the room I want to put it in or add it to favorites. So I'm going to tap on the room area there because I want to add it to my loft. So I'm just going to select loft there so that it's going to add it. And so now we're set and ready to go. Now I tap next on the upper right, and you can see that it's added it, and it's just letting me know that I need to add other accessories to the hub for it to function. So now that we've got it added, let's go ahead and see if it added it to the room. I'm just going to tap the rooms area down below here, and then I'm going to tap the menu area and tap on loft, and you can see that HOOBS has been added. So now that HOOBS has been added, let's take a look at the HOOBS interface. Now that we have HOOBS installed and up and running with HomeKit, let's just take a look at some of the things that are in the interface. You'll notice that we're on the status tab right here, and you can see that in the middle here we have server status, and it tells me what I'm running, what version I'm running. Notice I do have a plugin out of date, which I'll show you how to fix in a little bit. And then we have our services. Homebridge is running. It tells me the port it's running on, and it also tells me the console and what port it's listening on. Down here we have our uptime in terms of days, hours, and minutes, and we've got our CPU load down here as well as temperature, just so we can keep an eye on it to make sure everything's running okay. And down here we have information on memory, the total, the used, and the amount that we have free. Now across the top we have an area for plugins right here, and so as you can see here we've got the update right here. This is where this plugin would be updated. On top of that we can search for whatever plugins we want to install, and I'm going to show you how to install plugins in another video. Next to that we have our configuration profile, and so this is the normal configuration profile for Homebridge that you'll use to add all of your accessories. Again, I'll walk you through that as we look at adding various plugins, but it gives you an idea of what's running here and kind of shows you how the configuration is laid out. Again, I can back this up at any time or restore an older one from a backup right from here. And then I've got accessories over here, and so this would be any of the accessories that I've added to my Homebridge instance of HOOBS. And so basically if I add a Nest plugin or I add different devices, those devices will show up here so that I know what I've added. Now, if I also just, let's just go back to status. If I come across the top here, I can view my logs. And so this is my log file. This is looking at a terminal window, and it's showing me what's happening with my particular installation. I can also change user accounts in here. And so right now I've got the administrator account that came with it. I can always delete that, or if I want to add users, I can add a user account. So for instance, if I say add user, I can put a username in here. So let me just go ahead and make one up. Let's just say Joe. And let's say his name is, let's come down here and say Joe Smith. And then I would put a password in for him. And confirm the password and say whether he's an admin user or not. Let's say he's not. I'll say add new user, and you can see that I've added Joe Smith there. It says successfully added, and everything's there. If I ever want to edit that, I can come in and click on edit and edit that information and then save it. Or I can come in here and delete this particular user, and you can see that it successfully deleted the user as well. Now right here I can also restart the actual device, and so it'll go through a reboot. And then I can also log out with this particular user and then log in later if I want to access all of the settings. And then you'll notice over here, if I just click these ellipses over here, you can see that we've got access to terminal, restart the server, or shut down the server. And so I can use that in instances where I need to make some changes and maybe I want to restart everything and go from there. So let's just go ahead and go back to the status page. So that is the basic installation of HOOBS. And so as I've walked you through the basic setup, how you get the actual hardware setup, and then the installation of HOOBS itself, all the way through adding it to HomeKit. So that's all I have for this week. I'll be back at you next week with another screencast to help you learn how to do more things with your Mac. If you're interested in help in setting up your own Mac or software, or need some troubleshooting help, feel free to contact me at todd@toddolthoff.com.